Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Um, I guess good morning, good evening, whenever you watch this video. I just want to say that today I found a hack. So when I bought a GoPro 5 years ago and I never used it for a long time. I bought this GoPro in 2021 just to make a video, and I didn't know how to set up. And a few years later, I found a life hack. I know how to set up. Now today, yesterday I shared about how I was using GoPro to make videos while I'm driving, and I mentioned this on Thanksgiving dinner. People are like, it's not safe. So I was thinking about using an alternative ways of filming without actually, um, you know, not having my GoPro in my own hand, because usually I use this thing, so it's attached to it, attached to this one, and that's why you see me swinging around, right? But I have this thing over here which I can show you right now before I can. So it looks like this, as you can see. It looks like this, right? This is this comes with GoPro. I have many other tools, right? This one here. So it oh Jesus, it's hard to squeeze. So I'll touch my laptop like right now. I'm starting to touch the screen because I damaged my screen, and I put this. There is like a hook on bottom, and I hook to it. Then it faces me like this, so I can actually really like make a video and talk about things as I read on my laptop. I can also talk as I do other things, because sometimes I cannot talk while I am on like multitasking, talking. Sometimes I could be reading something on the internet or news, right? Sharing on this GoPro. So the downside of this is that I will not be able to swing my camera around, which I like to do that. I like to swing my camera around. Maybe I will tie my laptop like this next time, swing it around. But I am just here to share something that I read today. First of all, today is November 29. So now I have my full hands, so I can do a lot of things. November 29, and so November 29, and today is when the vice president who became a president after the assassination of Jeff Kennedy appointed a new leader. I don't remember his name. What's his name? His name was Warren Commissioner. A commissioner to investigate the assassination of RFK Jeff Kennedy. This is 1960. This was November 29, 1964. 1 year after. No, 1963. One year after the assassination of Jeff Kennedy. So anyway, yesterday I made a video about the two killings of the National Guard here in Washington DC, and it was something that triggered many people, including the Muslim community, the Afghanistan community. Now Trump has been on the news like he wants to investigate the Afghanistan refugees, Afghanistan communities, and he wants to ban Islam countries. I don't come from an Islam country, but when a president is threatening Muslim countries because one person did something bad like that, it kind of sounds concerning, because and other people who come from Muslim countries. I worked with Afghan communities so many times. They are really nice people, and but also we got understand that what happened in Afghanistan, Middle East, under George Bush and under Barack Obama is brutal. It is really brutal. For me, coming from Uganda, many people coming from Africa, like I want to say Africa, I mean like black nations that don't have Muslim community. Those we don't really like understand. Yes, we do have wars and conflicts, but we don't really understand. I don't know, my throat. We don't really understand the impact that the U.S. Army has caused in these Middle Eastern countries. So like especially in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, right? Those countries have, yes, Iran is crazy, they have issues with Israel, but these countries, like when the U.S. deployed very super militarized, well-trained soldiers over there, every person I've spoke to, like I've been to Texas. Texas has one of the largest number of soldiers deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. You have even states like California, which other states deploys North Carolina. They have deployed a large amount of soldiers in those Middle Eastern countries, and every person I've spoke to, they have such a huge trauma, right? And just people that I spoke to who have served in those countries, whatever one thing that they say is that they all seem to hate the U.S. actions in those countries, and it kind of makes sense because they weren't there to hunt for one individual, right? They weren't there to hunt for these terrorist leaders, all right? And some of them were killed, some disappeared, of course. Osama bin Laden was killed, and I mean other leaders, right? But one individual's hunting for one person ended up taking tons of other people's lives. And these terrorist groups, they use children, women, men, like young people, right? So that when the US pulled back their soldiers, and then they let these organizations take over, like the Taliban take over, the people who have devoted themselves to work with the United States, they immediately fall in the hands of the enemies, and a lot of them became the victim of the Taliban regime. Some, I guess, were prosecuted, some were brought back to the United States. Not like brought back, but they came to the United States as refugees, and these people, when they come here, right, and they are hoping that they are escaping this bad regime, to get here and then have to deal with Donald Trump, who also comes to power and then starts to make negative remarks on Muslim communities. It gives them more trauma, right? Like you went to their country, you bombarded them, and then after that you divided them to two sections, right? And then after that you let the opposition, the person you've been fighting for against, you let them take over the power, you give them the power, the weapons, then you pour out the people who supported you, who are in danger, you bring them, you give them refuge in your own country, which is a good thing. but then you immediately elect a new government. The government comes in and then threaten to deport those people back to their own country, even after they free that country. We see the same thing, not same, but what can I say, like a reciprocal of what happened in the countries like in Vietnam. Except that in Vietnam, during the Vietnam War, we didn't have people like Trump at the time. Even we did have Reagan, Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan was more targeting the South Americans instead of like Vietnamese. So Vietnamese were safe. But back in 1950s, the United States went to fight in Vietnam to fight against the communism, and the US lost the war. They lost the war, and they had to return their soldiers back to the United States, which allowed when they lost, the regime in Vietnam took over, and the people who were defending the US government, working with the US government, they became a victim of that regime, and some of them had to flee to the US. If you look it up, there is actually a video about boats of people, like people in the boats freeing from Vietnam to the United States. Also, 1950s, other 60s and 70s, a lot of Vietnamese free to the United States, some went to other countries. Eventually, they were given a refuge and they settled. I know a few of them who have been here for a long time, and they now live here. So the idea here is that, when you give a refuge to people, and then you elect a new leader, and that leader comes in and he goes, oh, we don't need those people no more, right? It's sort of like, you what do you expect, right? You get enemies, right? Those people that become your enemy. So I'm not saying that the Afghan guy shot these two National Guard because he was the enemy of the United States. We don't know the motive. We don't know why he did it. I mean, he works with the U.S. government before. I believe he works in the CIA as well. And I mean, the CIA really is like a gangster. Okay, if you're watching this video, right, like right now, maybe a few years later, just know that the CIA is no different from a KGB. KGB is the same as CIA, but it's part of Russia or the Soviet Union, which was one of the famous members of KGB is Vladimir Putin. He became a president of Russia, and he's been a president of Russia for a long time. KGB just pretty much the same, right? If you look at Putin, that dude is a gangster. Like that dude he doesn't care about killing you in just the same room. If you look at Vladimir Putin, the way he walks, the way he's no different from 50 Cent, and he's no different from Central Ray gangster. Yeah, he's a gang, right? That's the CIA. They don't give a shit. They will just assassinate you. So the CIA, just like KGB, they hire anybody. That's how the world actually works. Is that these individuals are just people who will hire anyone and anybody. So because somebody works in the CIA does not necessarily make them angels. In fact, makes them really, really bad. So when we see this guy shooting National Guard, he's probably pissed. He probably has some other thing that made him do it. I am curious, trying to put up the profile of his name, the guy who killed two National Guards, and then they all died, by the way. Both did not survive. Um, he was also charged with first-degree murder. I'm not too sure if there is any. Um, yeah, he just a normal guy actually. He's pretty decent guy. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna show him on camera, but he's a pretty decent guy. Yeah, just a normal guy, pretty much. Um, you would not expect him to do that. He was also shot, but he did not really get injured as much. No one really knows why he did it. I'm still not. Yeah, they are showing the image of the National Guard on the ground. That's that's freaking scary. And the U.S. Secret Service is like checking on them. Yeah, fascinating. It's fascinating that then this happens. So I'm gonna read here what it says on the internet. The man who identified as the suspect in Washington D.C. shooting that killed one National Guard member and left another in a critical condition is Rahamunura Rakanar, a 29-year-old national. Like he's really 29 years old. He's very, very young, and he came here in 2021, so extremely young. Details of the incidents and suspect Rahamanura Rakanar, I don't know how to pronounce this name correctly, was identified by law enforcement as the wrong suspected gunman in the November 26, 2025 ambush-style shooting near the White House. This was an ambush-style shooting. He was injured during the incident and is currently in custody and receiving treatment at this hospital. This is 26, so this detail is old. This is like 3 days ago, but this guy should be is probably in jail right now because he was charged with first-degree murder. The two victims were members of the West Virginia National Guard who were in DC as part of a federal crime fighting mission. Yeah, Amy Spencer Sarah Beckstrom. She's 20 years old. The lady who died of her injuries on November 27, 2025. 20 years old. The guy who shot her is 29. The lady is 20. I'm not laughing on this, okay? I'm just surprised by how can a 29 years old shoots at 20 years old. Both in Washington D.C. Both have nothing to do with Washington D.C. Like these National Guards, by the way, they don't do anything. Sometimes I saw them like cleaning the streets in D.C., like picking trash, but they just walk around. I made a video about this. Them walking around. They just walk around. That's all they do. Just walk around, and there's no protest in DC. And if there was a protest, if it's not violent, Trump is not allowed to use National Guard to fight the protest if it's not violent. So these National Guards were pretty much just walking around on their feet. They never have to sit. They never use the weaponry vehicles. Some do have guns, but a lot of them don't have guns. They just have a water bottle. They look pretty cute and beautiful, just walking around. They never really bother anybody. I never been bothered by National Guard. I think they are cool. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Woroff, 24 years old, remains in a critical condition and is fighting for his life. So I don't know if he's still alive. He's probably dead too. I'm not sure. So 20 years old and 24 years old, both two were shot by at 29 years old. The guy in my age. Can you imagine? Like we know people who are older, like 50s and 40s, go out there and commit crimes. Can you imagine, like me at 29-year-old, grab a gun and go out there and be like, National Guard, turn around, poo, 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 poo. Like this is something that is very unexpected to happen here in Washington DC. I'm actually surprised, like, like I'm walking around. I don't know. I really don't understand this. Charges against Rokan again. I hope I'm pronouncing them correctly, but it's Rakanwar. So Rakanwar have been upgraded to include one count of first-degree murder, in addition to multiple counts of assault with intent to kill while armed and weapons charges. Rakanwar entered the United States in September 21st through Operation Aries Welcome. So there is a program called Operation Aries Welcome after the US withdrew from Afghanistan. So this goes to what I was saying earlier. Okay, like I just looked up on Google after that statement earlier on how the United States went to Middle East, fight, lost the war like they did in Vietnam, withdrew back, Taliban took over, and then these people who were part of the US, supporting the US, they were abandoned to suffer. So the US to feel sorry, they gave refuge to these people. So the program called again Operation Arise Welcome after the US withdrew from Afghanistan. He had previously served with CIA-backed anti-Taliban paramilitary. So I did not read this guy's biography before I made this video. Okay, I did just look up on Google right now. Okay, so because these things make sense and I have critical thinking skills. I'm just saying these things because I don't smoke, I don't drink alcohol. My brain works fresh. I remember vividly Joe Biden withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. So, anyways, he had previously served with CIA-backed anti-Taliban military unit in Afghanistan, known as Zero Unit. So Zero Unit. So like I said, CIA will recruit anybody. Okay. I'm not a CIA member, so just let you guys know, okay? But they will really hire anybody. They will hire anybody to work for them and do this kind of work. And the people and once you get into this the cult of investigating and finding out people who commit crimes, like you'll be surprised on how people get killed. Assassinations happens every single day. These guys are gangsters. Just if we don't know much about CIA because CIA uses underground operation and they use technology to assassinate, right? I mean, they use like weapons, guns, things like that. KGB, which is the Russian. What the fuck does KGB stands for? What does KGB stands for? Komitete Gasudarstvenного Bezobastoni. I don't know what that means, but it translates from Russia to Committee for State Security, which was the primary security and intelligence agency for the Soviet Union operations from 1954 until the USSR dissolution 1991. I don't think KGB went away. There's still KGB somewhere. I don't trust Vladimir Putin. So, and I have no reason to trust him either. But the KGB invested in the humans. So they had people go out there in the whole world and give poison to people or assassinate people. They had what they call hitmen. That's what KGB did. The CIA, however, they don't do that. The CIA just invest in the technology and they kill on the body they right. They will just shoot and they announce on the internet like so and so has been killed in a plane crash, whatever. So so this guy probably has seen so much BS under CIA and he decided, you know what, I'm just gonna commit a crime. But why would you commit a crime on a 20 years old National Guard from West Virginia? Like that's the most poorest state in the entire US. It's extremely poor. There's really poverty out there. And Trump is trying to give jobs to these people so they can work. And I think that's what Trump is trying to do. Like Trump is really like he knows that these people are poor, so he deploys them so they have something to do. They have a job. Okay, like he's trying to give the army something to do. Okay, he increases the tariffs, which is the taxes, takes that money, gives the military. I think that's a cool thing. I think like that's a good idea, right? 20 years old, 20 years old. I don't think even this National Guard, what's her name? Amy Spencer Sarah Beckstrom. I don't think this lady, she's really born in 2004. I don't think this lady even went to school. Like this guy, these people didn't even go to school. Like if you're 20 years old in the army, you didn't go to school at all. Like she has no degree. Like these people didn't even finish high school, I believe. So they're trying to have a better life. They're not trying to bother anybody. They don't get paid that much. How much do National Guard get paid? How much do National Guard get paid? They don't show the pay. Oh, they pay. Depends on rank, years of service, and job, but it is based on active duty pay during period of service, such as weekend drills and annual training. So the starting in E1, you make $268 for a 2-day drill weekend, while on E5 with 6 years of service might earn between 400 and 566 for that same weekend during active duty orders. So they work based on active duty, based on how they're working. So they're not really like they don't have like a salary like we do. Like they don't I don't have a job, but they don't live like they don't have like super high paying job. Like they're not guaranteed wages. I don't know how the military works. Like I know how the military works, but not the National Guard. Like National Guards. The reason why I'm making this video, and the reason why people are frustrated in the United States, if you don't live in this country, if you live in somewhere else, you just know that National Guards are like, if you live in Uganda, National Guards are like military police, right? They are not UPDF. Okay, so in Uganda we have UPDF, we have police, we also have military police. The ones that you see with blue and white uniforms, those are military police. Those tends to be younger. They tend to be 20 years old, 25 years old, sometimes 16 years old. They hire even young people. So the same thing is in the United States. They hire younger people from high school, throw them to the National Guard, and then station them somewhere. They only serve like 2 days a week, right? So not as much. So same thing, like there's no difference really. Every country has National Guards. They are not national military, they are just simple National Guard. And they are called National Guard because they work for the state, right? And the president, he is allowed to use them for any reason. He's not allowed to use the military because the military will require the approval from the Congress, right? The last time the US president used the military, things went brutal, right? 1939 to 1945, the US deployed the army to Europe, right? Starting World War II. Then after that, sent the army to Vietnam. So what happened? We know what happened. We lost a lot of men, and then we had to send women to the factory because there was no men to do the job. So the fascinating thing is that nobody expects somebody to shoot National Guard. Like it's unexpected, like it's not something that I was not expecting it. Like nobody would expect it, and then coming from someone who worked with CIA in zero unit in Afghanistan. And then coming from somebody who was not even born here, like this guy came when he was 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, so 5 years. So if this guy is 25, is 29, that means he came here when he was 24 years old. Okay, this was a couple years ago after COVID. So he came through asylum status. He applied for asylum in 2024 and he was granted asylum in April 2024. So he didn't have asylum seeker, asylum in Uganda. We say asylum seeker because we combine the asylum and the seeker together, right? But asylum seeker means somebody who's seeking for asylum. But asylum itself is the document that allows you to come to the United States and stay temporarily as you wait for other documents like green cards and other things. So he didn't have asylum, and he was granted asylum in 2024. He applied in 2024, and it was given to him in 2025, which proves my point. This guy, even though he was given asylum 2025 in April, this is like a few months ago, right? And in April, Trump was a president, and Trump is passing all the tariffs, making comments about Muslim countries, right? And deporting illegal migrants in the United States. So this guy, he's afraid of his own life. He's afraid to get deported. Like we don't really think about this. Like if I go back to Uganda, right? Like if I get deported today, right? I have family members in Congo, I have family members in Rwanda, I have family members in Burundi, I have family members in Kenya, I have family members in Uganda, family members in Tanzania, right? I have even family members in Canada, Australia, Denmark, right? I can always go to any of these countries and live there. I can go to China too. I have Chinese friends. I can go to Taiwan. I can go to South Africa. Like I have many options. I have a place to be. These people from Afghanistan, from Middle East, they have such a bad image that whenever they go, things get brutal. So when they come to the United States, they're trying to better their own lives, right? And then a new president comes in and makes these comments of anti-migrants and deportation. I kind of see why this guy was terrified. I never think about this for a moment. Like, if I was in the United States and I came here escaping political persecution, because I'm not here, I am not being chased by any politician. That's why I make videos, right? Otherwise, I won't be in this video, like, because if anybody sees this video, like, I have no issues with anybody. Like, I have zero problems with anybody. So I'm not afraid of getting deported. Like, it's very normal. But if I was part of the CIA and working in the zero unit in the CIA, fighting against the Taliban military, and then Taliban takes over, and then I have to flee to the United States, then spend not 1 but 3 years to get the documentation. Then after 2 years I get the documentation, and then it takes another year from April from 2024 to 2025, and you are granted asylum. Asylum is not a green card. It's not a working permit. So in those years you are not working at all. So then you are granted a document. Still you cannot work with asylum. It's not a working permit. You can't go to school. You can't do anything, right? And then a new president comes in and threatens to deport you. Trump doesn't care. Trump doesn't know about this guy. He didn't know about this guy. 29 years old, right? I can imagine the stress that is in this guy. like the stress of thinking like, why did I make these decisions? Why did I have so much high hope in this country to turn around and get a dude from New York City who grew up with money and real estate and whatever, like Trump is really rich, he's in Mar-a-Lago playing golf, to come out. The guy has zero military experience. Trump has never been in the military before. Zero military experience. To come up and say, I'm going to deport all illegal migrants in this country, which includes this guy like this. I cannot see why. But again, why would he shoot the National Guard? Is it a revenge? Sounds like revenge, but not necessarily on the National Guard, bro. Maybe he doesn't know the National Guard. Maybe he doesn't understand. And the reason why I know the National Guard is because I've been in this country for so long, and I live in Washington, D.C., so I spend time learning about the military. So I know much about the U.S. military and all these things, and I wanted to join the military too, by the way. So, but I don't think this guy is knowing. I don't think he knew what he was doing. I don't think he understood that the National Guards are not the one who was in Afghanistan. Like, bro, like Rakanwa, like dude, like National Guards are not the ones who went to Afghanistan. No. Okay, the U.S. sent super high quality soldiers to Afghanistan. U.S. has super well trained military soldiers that go overseas, not the National Guards. National Guards are like police. They don't know shit. They just walk around. They don't really. They just have the shield and the tear gas to tear people, women protesting for their equality. Okay, that's what they do. National Guard only sprays tear gas on African Americans when they are protesting for their own rights. National Guards, they don't go overseas. They don't step outside their border. Okay, so yeah, if you wanted to revenge on in the U.S. military, yeah, you could have gone to the Fort Bragg, and I bet you could not have even gone like 2 inches before they shoot you. Right? So this National Guard really died. They became a victim of somebody who's angry and who's frustrated by Trump's actions. And Trump doesn't care. He just came out and he blamed everything on the left. It's the left. It's the left. It's the left. And then he goes, "We're gonna deport all the Muslim countries." Like Anyway, so scary. The motives being investigated as targeted shooting, and Rakanwa drove across the country from his home in Bellingham, Washington, to carry it out. A childhood friend mentioned he suffered from mental health issues and was disturbed by casualty caused by his unit in Afghanistan. It makes sense. Okay, he drove from Washington State. Do you know how far that is? The only guy who drove there is Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos, when he drove there, he built a company, Amazon, right? It's too far. It's like on the north. It's way close to Canada, like end of Canada. Like then you can fly from there to like Alaska. That's how far it is. Okay. So yeah, he definitely has mental issues. Anybody that I mentioned this when I started this video. Anybody who served in Iraq, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iran. Nobody has ever served in Iran because who the fuck wants to serve in Iran anyway? I hope I pronounce these countries correctly: Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, right? Those countries. I don't think anybody has ever served in Syria. It's just Iraq and Afghanistan normally. They all have mental issues because they're just killing children. Okay, these military people, they don't deploy adults. Because all the adult men are dead, and because women over there are not allowed to serve in the army, which is a good thing, right? Not the same thing in Africa. In Africa, women are really strong. Like in Congo, women have weapons. But in these countries, they have respect for women because they are Muslim countries, so they don't really deploy women in the military, except like Somalia uses women for like bombing and stuff, but not as much. But anyway, children were dead. So I understand this guy, if he was working in the CIA, he knew a lot of things. He has seen a lot of shit. He has seen a lot of things. So that has made him traumatized. Otherwise, no human being, especially served in the CIA, no single freaking human being would ever shoot a National Guard for no freaking reason. Like, makes zero sense. Makes no, there's no single calculations in it. Like, it's just pure. The shooting and suspect immigration status have prompted widespread political discussions and a pause in the processing of all immigration applications for Afghan nationals by the Trump administration. Again, I've worked with Afghan nationals. They had a really good reputation. They are good people to work with. They are very smart. But there's a sensitivity around them. Many Americans believe that many Americans believe that when the U.S. deployed the army in Afghanistan, when they recruited these Afghanistan nationals into the army, into the CIA, and all those things, what they did was actually recruiting Taliban investigators. So these people were Taliban, they are working for Taliban, and they will transfer information back to Taliban. That's what I heard. That's the speculations. This is why US never won the war in the Middle East. It's because whenever they hire people, because you need to hire people from there to understand the situation, right? And these people will in turn like literally give information back to Taliban. So when Taliban took over, they had every single details. Okay, so United States frustrated and angry and mad about this operations, and they have plans, and those plans get leaked. They have another plans gets leaked. Why? They decided to withdraw the army and leave the weapons and everything to Afghanistan. So Afghanistan took over. So but I believe his friend says, a childhood friend mentioned that he suffered from mental health issues and was disturbed by the casualties caused by his unit in Afghanistan. So yeah, I believe that. I believe it. If this guy would have walked to White House and shoot the White House, I would have, okay, maybe he's an assassin, a super intelligent assassin. But this guy shooting National Guard, yeah, I believe he has mental issues. There's no way you can walk around National Guard and shoot them. Like, the fuck does that? But anyways, Trump is now making a comment, which means this is going to be, because people read this news, people read these things on the internet, rural America, the video that I made last time, and they believe in it, and they become anti-Muslim, they become anti-Arab countries. Like, really, really fascinating situation. But anyways, this video is about to end, and it looks good to me that I make this video while I am doing other things. It's 1 o'clock, so I got to do other things. I got to upload a video that I made yesterday and eventually move on. So thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give me a follow, like, share, like always. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. And like always, if you find this video helpful, just subscribe, share, do what you gotta do. Even watching it is enough. Okay, just me giving comments. And again, this video has a disclaimer in the description. These are just my opinions. They don't represent my company, the institutions, my university, anything like that. Okay, So happy Thanksgiving weekend. Like always, thanks for watching. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.